Good morning, traders. I'm Emily Advani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Tuesday, November 26th. Investors continue to anticipate the upcoming presidential administration this morning, and this after stocks finished solidly higher yesterday. The Dow climbed 440 points, or nearly 1%, for the second session in a row. The S&P 500 added 18 points, or 0.3%. The Nasdaq picked up 51 points, or just more than 0.25%. Bill, let's get into today's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
I guess, good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. We're actually trading higher. We're up 0.2% higher. That's nice to see. I mean, they were flat. They were flat to lower this morning, and they have since turned. And we are showing a gain of 0.2% this morning, so that's positive walking into the day. And there are multiple catalysts that are going to be creating volatility today. I mean, late yesterday, you had President-elect Trump making his first comments about his tariff plans since being elected, and he said he's considering placing tariffs on Canada, China, and Mexico. That caused the Justin Trudeau of Canada actually called Trump because there is a trade agreement in place between the U.S., Mexico, and China. So I don't see I think that was just more rhetoric than anything else. I'm trying to be, I'm tough on tariffs. I love tariffs, but there's a trade agreement in place. So I don't see that's likely, but he is talking about, tariffs on China, and that is definitely likely to happen. The Biden administration, however, they're still in charge, and they're proposing those anti-obesity drugs to be covered by Medicare and Medicaid. I mean, that's caused an Eli Lilly to see a 3% gain this morning. Israel Security Cabinet is set to vote on a ceasefire deal that would halt the trading between Hezbollah and Israel in Lebanon. That's a positive. On the economic front, there's a multiple, economic issues coming out today. The key economic report I really think is going to be that consumer confidence report that comes out a half hour after the market opens. But this afternoon, the Fed's going to be releasing the meeting minutes notes from the last federal FOMC meeting in early November. That could be interesting. Busy day for earnings. After the bell today, we got earnings from DELL, CrowdStrike, Workday, Autodesk, HP, Urban Outfitters, and others. So yeah, it's going to be kind of busy in terms of earnings report after the bell today. But let's take a look at the action over in Europe. We're looking at Europe, and we are showing some losses. I mean, the DAX is down 32 points, or 0.17%. Real weakness in autos. FTSE's down about 10 points, or 0.12%. The CAC is down 6 points, or 0.08%. Trump's tariff talks are ultimately a loser for Europe, because they're the weak link, and if there's going to be tariffs, they're the one that's going to be hit by them the hardest. And then you look over in Asia last night. Asia, I mean, we did see some losses in the Nikkei. The Nikkei dropped 338 points, or 0.87%, with weakness in autos and tech stocks. Hong Kong was flat. Property sector and financial stocks gained. Consumer and tech stocks did fall. In China, the Shanghai, finished down 0.12%. Yes, the tariff talk is, going to cause some, concern over there in Hong Kong and China. But the fact of the matter is you have two political meetings that are set to occur in China in December. This is where they could get additional stimulus action. Now, if you think about it, the additional stimulus action could be more positive than any, than any tariffs. Also anticipating, tariffs from Trump might not hurt them as much if, the government is putting in a stimulus action. So those markets were essentially flat. But it's positive. But then we're turning our attention over to oil, because oil got smoked yesterday. It was down 3%. But it's steady today. It's up about 0.9%. You get WTI at $69.58 a barrel. You got Brent at $73.61 a barrel. Now there are multiple catalysts going on here. You got the impending Israeli vote on the ceasefire. You got the stockpile reports that are coming out after the bell today, and then the official numbers tomorrow morning. And then, of course, the OPEC meeting. There's an OPEC meeting that starts Friday with the actual meeting happening on Sunday, and it's virtual. So, there's a lot of hesitation coming up with oil ahead of this OPEC meeting. But that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market update report this morning, Emily.
Bill, you did point out that it is busy on the earnings front today, and we're going to get to a number of market moving pieces of information throughout the show, but we will start with earnings action. Bill, give us a rundown of what is going on there.
Well, we got to start off with Dick's Sporting Goods, ticker DKS, David Kilo Sam. These guys delivered a beat of 6 cents on higher revenue. That stock's up 8.72%. Then you got Analog Devices, ticker ADI, Apple David India. They beat by 3 cents on higher revenue. That stock's up 7% this morning. Kohl's, ticker KSS. Oh, man, they lost their CEO, but he's not totally gone. He's still going to be on an advisory role, but, they came out with earnings this morning. They missed by 7 cents, but they met on revenue. But that stock's down 16.96%. Remember, this is their third CEO in 3 years. Not good. Zoom Video, ticker ZM, Zebra Mary. They beat by 7 cents on higher revenue, but you look at the stock this morning and, it's hit. It's down 7% this morning. Not good. ADI, then you have LG and ticker A. They beat by 5 cents on higher revenue. But upcoming, we got a host of stocks, coming out with earnings like Workday, ticker WDAY, William David, Apple Yellow. Their EPS is $1.72. Expected move is 9.36%. CrowdStrike, ticker CRWD, Charlie Richard William David. Their EPS is 81 cents. Expected move is 8.77%. And Dell Technologies, ticker DELL, David Edward Larry. Their EPS is $2.05 with an expected move of 9.62% when they release this afternoon, Emily.
And Bill, I will point out for our listeners that ticker A, Agilent Technologies, was your pick of the day yesterday, and by the end of the show we will get a check-in on that, so don't go anywhere. But for now, we're going to turn to economic events. Bill, a number of things to note here when it comes to economic reports. So what is going on in terms of the day's economic events?
Yeah, it's an active day. Home price index, Case-Shiller home price index out at 9 a.m. 10 a.m. you get the consumer confidence. You also get the new home sales. And then at 2 p.m. Eastern time, we get the FOMC meeting minutes. Now, the consumer confidence is expected to really, show a nice little gain there. I mean, it's expected to come in at 111. Which beats the previous reading of 108.8. And new home sales could drop a little bit. They're expected to come in at 725,000, which would be slightly lower than the 738,000 from the last readings. But it's still going to be kind of positive because you've got to remember this is the type of period where new home sales kind of do fall off a little bit. Fed meeting notes, that's going to be, key for this afternoon because, those notes are really parsed through for people to try to get a handle on what the Fed is thinking, ahead of that next Fed meeting, which is coming up December 17th, 18th, I believe. Fed funds rate are currently producing a 56% probability of another Fed rate cut in December. So that's something to keep an eye on. But that's what I have for you in terms of an economic report this morning, Emily.
And Bill, as you mentioned, those FOMC meeting minutes will be key for the markets. They're going to be sifting through those notes, as you said, to try to figure out what the FOMC may be doing next when it comes to monetary policy. And when we're also trying to figure out what the market might be doing next, keeping track of a host of data and information is important on any given trading day. And Bill, you use NewsWare and break it down into alerts to do just that. You're looking at things like merger news, guidance news, buyback news, catalyst calls. You look at stocks grouped together like your FANG stocks and your DELL 30 stocks. So, Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
I'm just doing a quick data check. I'm looking at my Dow stocks. I got 15 higher, 13 lower. I'm looking at my FANG stocks, a little weakness in Google, but everything else is trading higher. So it's kind of like positive as we waltz into the morning. Some of the news behind the stories today, like Amazon, AWS, they got awarded $158.25 million contract from the U.S. Army. Hey, remember they were part of that big Defense Department cloud contract that was out there a couple of years ago, but they're still great gaining business. AWS wins an Army contract. Meta Platforms, ticker META. Listen, Meta is trading higher this morning. It's up, 0.25%. But they're facing an FTC trial in April over its purchase of Instagram and WhatsApp. In fact, the FTC is saying you overpaid for Instagram. Well, they did. They did overpay for Instagram because they had to overpay for Instagram because Instagram didn't need to be bought out. And Instagram was founded by Facebook employees at the time. So it with the new administration coming in, we'll have to see if this FTC trial continues to have teeth or not. Tesla, we're looking at Tesla there. It is edging higher today, which is good to see. I mean, it did drop, big yesterday. There's talk yesterday that California Governor Newsom, is talking about reinstating EV tax credits, which you think would be good for something like Tesla. But he'd only reinstate them if the federal government, takes away those tax credits. But there's a concern that he might not give the tax credit for Teslas because he's got this ongoing feud with Elon Musk, which is silly. I don't think there's going to be much noise, that I'm too concerned about these stories in the tape. But let's talk Dow Jones 30 stocks. Let's talk Amgen, ticker AMG, and stocks down 11.22% this morning. Now, they're going to be hosting a call this morning on their weight loss drug trial results. Now, according to what I read this morning, their data showed a 20% reduction in weight, but the side effects are really concerned. We're going to have to see if this big sell-off is going to be able to continue here because the weight loss drug should be getting some positive action because of Biden's action this morning where he wants Medicare and Medicaid to start covering them, and Amgen's going to have one of these drugs, but no, these side effects by their drug causing some concern this morning. Nike, ticker NKE. Stocks down 0.3%. It was down a full percentage point this morning. The weakness is likely due to the Chinese tariffs. Remember, their business is big in China, and without that China business, their stock has been weak. Walmart, ticker WMT, William Michael Tom, they're rolling back on their diversity, equity, inclusion policies. Why? Because a lot of conservative activists have been, pressuring them, so they gave in. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's what it says going on. New Jersey, in terms of merger news, New Jersey Resources, ticker NJR, Nancy John Richard, they're selling their residential solar business to Spruce Power for $132.5 million. Ticker PSTX, Paul Sam, Tom X-Ray, Poseida Therapeutics, they're going to be acquired by Roche for $9 a share. Starboard, ticker HR, Henry Richard. Starboard disclosed a stake of 5.9% in Healthcare Realty Trust, ticker HR this morning. We're looking at the shares of HR this morning, and it stocks up 1.88% this morning. In terms of guidance news, SMTC, Sam Michael Tom Charlie Semtech, they see Q4 adjusted EPS coming in 32 cents, plus or minus 3 cents. Street estimates 27 cents. So that's actually an uptick. Zoom Video sees Q4 EPS coming in $1.29 to $1.30. Street estimates $1.28. Yeah, that is an uptick, but those shares are trading lower. And Kohl's sees like full year EPS coming in $1.20 to $1.50. Street estimate had it $1.84. That's a big downtick. Abercrombie and Fitch, ticker ANF, Apple, Nancy Frank, they see Q4 revenue growth of 5 to 7%. Street estimates is at 1.52 billion. Okay. In terms of buyback news, Serapina Therapeutics, ticker SRPT, Sam Paul, Richard Tom, their board approved share repurchasing of up to $500 million worth of shares. Catalyst calls this morning. Citibank had a couple. American Airlines, ticker AAL, Apple Larry. Citibank opened up a 90-day positive catalyst watch on shares of American Airlines. They also opened up a 90-day positive catalyst watch on Chevron, ticker CVX, Charlie Victor X-ray, which I find really interesting considering how weak oil has been lately. But there's multiple catalysts in play here with oil, so we got to keep an eye on it. And shares of Chevron 90-day positive catalyst watch placed on the stock by Citibank this morning. And that's what I have for you in terms of news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that Newsware delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. It is now that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, what do you have for us today?
Ticker NTNX, Nancy Tom, Nancy X-ray, Newton X. Earnings are out after the bell. EPS is 31 cents. Expected move is 11.81%. Yesterday's call volume, 7,273 calls versus puts of 2,089. Open interest, 86,000. Open interest is also, I believe, let me check these numbers on the open interest. Open interest, 86,913 versus 30,577. That's also positive. So, I do like the option volumes, and the major brokers are raising price targets, and some are even raising ratings, which is even better. And then you look at the fact that, they came out with a nice beat last quarter, positive comments from the CEO. They're in a good space. They're one of the leaders in hybrid multi-cloud computing. Yeah, I think this one looks good. I want to get in 72, 75. Is kind of my price there. I'll say 72.50 to 72.75. But I like this one, NTNX. I think this is going to be positive when they release after the bell after the bell today, Emily.
An earnings play there, Bill. We will follow that along with you. And coming up, we will do a recap on yesterday's pick of the day. So stick with us. But first, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, sending it back to you.
Okay. Canadian dollar might fall if further Trump's tariff plans continue. Okay. SL Green Realty announces the acquisition of 500 Park for $130 million. Amgen down, 11.6% after Maritide weight loss study results. ARWR, William Richard, this is Arrowhead. They're going to get $825 million in a licensing pack. Okay. Scott's Miracle-Gro, SMG, they announced the departure of their CFO, their Chief Financial Officer. Best Buy, BBY, sees Q4 comparable sales flat to down 3%. NT, ticker GH, Guardian Health, they won a lawsuit on false advertising claims and unfair competition against Natera, ticker NTRA. The U.S. Commerce Department said it was finalized a $7.86 billion government subsidy for Intel, which is down from $8.5 billion, but still it's a grant. So it's free money for Intel. They got to be appreciative of that. Qualcomm CEO came out and said, "Yeah, Intel's very important business in the U.S., but they're not really looking to make a bid for them." That's all I'm seeing this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we go, let's do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was Agilent Technologies. You did give us a note about the stock during your earnings rundown. They did report a Q4 EPS of $1.46. That was ahead of analyst estimates of $1.41. Revenue came in at $1.7 billion versus the consensus of $1.67 billion. In terms of guidance, the company sees a full year 2025 EPS of $5.54 to $5.61. That was a notch below the consensus of $5.66. Now, yesterday, Bill, you're hoping to catch some weakness with this one, that you'd be able to get a gain from there. How did your call work out?
I mean, it was okay. It was, look at the numbers. Stock opened up at 134.53, fell to 133.76. And then after the bell, the stock did hit 136, which is 1%, but then it moved lower, after on the earnings announcement. But the 1% was there, it was tight, it was quick, but it wasn't long lasting. But overall, it was positive on the day, so you got to appreciate Algiant. I mean, it was a gainer. It did hit the 1%. It just couldn't hold because the market didn't like the earnings as much as I thought they would. But that's okay. So, I kind of think it was, flat, but positive, Emily.
Definitely a chance for a gain there, Bill, and we will check in with you tomorrow about today's NTNX pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Advani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.